Hey guys, this is Nikki.
This is Sam.
Welcome back to So What? What's Next?
I spent the bag on the bundle. Turn around and take a flip and make a double. Listen, baby, with me you ain't never gotta struggle. I'm in the game 650, catch a triple double. Watch it tumble, tumble, watch it tumble. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. This is coming and keep on tumbling. Watch it tumble, tumble, watch it tumble. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. This is coming and keep on tumbling.
Hey guys, welcome back to So What? What's Next? Hey Sam, how was the weekend for you?
The weekend's been great. Getting a lot done. Getting a lot done. Got a football team. One of my football teams finally won the game. I
What?
think since the last time we've been on, we won 2 games. So
Dose.
yeah,
We on
those.
a streak.
Yeah, that's what they call it in these parts. A winning streak. So yeah, man. But how you been? How you been?
We're all on our home decor tip. We being, Martha Stewart, with more melanin, getting the various rooms in the house together, trying to stage a couple of things at the other one, and trying to be a young. Am I still young? Let's go with it. A young real estate tycoon,
Okay.
trying
Okay.
to get things popping. But overall, things are good on this end. I know you said, excuse me, your favorite team is on a 2-win streak. What else is going on in football world from a win loss perspective?
Well, my NFL team is slowly but surely collapsing. Um, Uh, but hey, our quarterback is playing good though, so I give us that. We got that going for us. We got a quarterback now. I do feel good about the quarterback situation.
You gotta count those W's, right? Trevor's
Yeah,
playing his ass off right now, in
yeah.
spite of
In spite of,
the everything happening around him. Right? You know what? I want to give you your props because I think when we did our episode with the football predictions, you had some really, really good shout outs and predictions for college football, right?
right, the
I
bold
think
takes.
I think you were spot on when you were talking about Bama and Texas A&M, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah, you
kind of,
called it. You said Jimbo was going to beat Bama this year, and they did. I thought it was going to be a close game, which it
which
was.
it
But
was.
I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
I had Bama winning, but you had it. You said it was going to be by one score.
yeah. It's crazy, man. Watching Jimbo that Saturday night, I was like, wow, that looked like Jimbo 2012, 2013. Like he knew he had something that night. He was like, "Yeah, I got something for that ass tonight." And you could tell when he's in his
Right.
bag. You could tell when he's in his bag. And
You know when he in his zone, right?
yeah,
Because the
yeah.
glasses come down and that play sheet.
Hey, he not even looking at the next play. He just calling plays as they happen. He didn't even looking at the field no more because he know he
Right.
got you. You know what I'm saying? So
He's
he was.
literally looking at the Cheesecake Factory menu, trying to call a play, and then looking over the top of them glasses. So you done for.
And it was the funniest part is when the quarterback got hurt and Jimbo walks into the tent. I know he would have tell like, "Yo, I need 5 more plays. Just get
This is
your
gonna run.
five
Shut
more
him up.
plays."
You
Yeah,
got sort all. You got him. Okay. So
yeah.
listen.
Yeah, but
He did.
I was happy for Jimbo though, man. I really was because I mean I know a lot of Florida State fans hate Jimbo, but um, he's been a good college football coach. And I think he did win us a national championship. He proved that Florida State could win a national championship in this modern era of football, which a
Right.
lot of people had a lot of questions that maybe the old days of Bobby Bowden that we'll never win another national championship again. He proved that we could still do that in this modern day. And
Yep.
he fell on some rough times at Florida State, and I think he was a part of the problem. I think it was a multiple problems that caused the problem. But I'm happy for Jimbo, man. I'm happy for him. I mean, when you
Yeah. So,
prove that you
and
can do
that's a
something,
very much. I'm sorry. That's a very mature way to look at it, right?
yeah,
Because ultimately, he did a lot for Florida State, right? I think the way things played out, we all were caught up in the emotion. It's like that long term marriage or that long term relationship you have, and
right,
then one person decides to leave, and it's kind of like, but I've done all these things, and we've done all these cool things together, and
right,
so there's a little bit of resentment there, right? And there's some people who are never going to want to see Jimbo win. I'm one of those people who was kind of like, Jimbo, if you're going to go, just go, right? You've been
yeah,
wanting to leave, you left. Okay. I was kind of in my healing phase, right? Like
Right.
let's move on. So to see him win now, like I will tell you, I'm not going to be waving the Jimbo flag, but good for him. He
Yeah.
told us what before the season that he was going to beat Bama's ass, and on his birthday he came through with it. So kudos to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I was happy for him though, because I mean, and I told somebody, I said this on the Listen Up podcast. I was like, of course Jimbo Fisher would be the first coach to beat him. Of course he would be his first understudy to beat him. I mean, he's the only one that's won a national championship. He's one of the first assistants that Nick Saban chose when he went to Alabama. I mean, not Alabama, but LSU, when he came down south and started winning national championships, was Jimbo Fisher, and him and Jimbo's been like his son. So of course that would be the guy. Of course it would be Jimbo Fisher. I think Kirby's going to beat him also too. But
Yeah, because that's who you got winning it all. That's who you
yeah,
got
yeah,
winning it all.
yeah. I still got Kirby winning it all, and that prediction's looking pretty good. But they're
It's
scaring
looking
me.
pretty solid.
Yeah, it's scaring me though, because they got the little midget quarterback that everybody want to hype up again. I'm like, we saw that last year. Kirby, don't do this to yourself. Don't
And
do it.
that's the thing. I want to get behind Georgia. Like I will never. I guess I've admitted it now, but I won't say this often. But like when I want to get behind Georgia, I'm like, oh wow, they're really gonna go for it, and they find a way to mess it up every time.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, I can't get on that train with you yet. I see the train coming.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually got on board
But
to ride it out yet.
But in a year where there's no super quarterbacks, because there's none this year. There's no super quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
In a year there's no super quarterbacks, elite defense can win the national championship this year, and I think they do have an elite defense. I mean, they're beating teams by multiple scores with a backup quarterback, backup offensive lineman, and some backups right
And
now.
their defense is scoring, right? Think
Yeah.
about it. Their defense is putting up points. I think that's impressive too, right? So you can always count on at least one or two
Defensive
defensive
scores.
plays
Yeah.
that's gonna lead to scores, right? Which is impressive. And speaking of high scoring, let's talk about that Red River rivalry. Did I get that one out? Red River rivalry. I got it out. Alliteration. So
I knew we weren't gonna go too long without you bringing up Lincoln in the Boomer Sooners.
Lincoln is my guy. I am a big fan of Lincoln Riley, right? So I'll be honest and say that I was out doing a Target / TJ Maxx Home Goods run so I could come back. I went out early in the morning. I was out at 9 a.m. picking up my stuff from Target, picking up my stuff from Home Goods, because I'm like, I need to get back in front of this TV, right? So when I look up, I'm like, maybe a minute is off, and I'm like, wait a minute, Texas scored and they got the ball again. Like, I was like, I just went to the kitchen. Like, what happened, right? And from that point on, I think Texas had a really, really good game plan, right? They were running the ball with Bijan Robinson. They were really, really spreading the rock around. Defense was intense. I think the score was like 28-3, 20.
Yeah, it was out. I thought it was out of reach, and I was like, "Well, damn," because I mean, Oklahoma hadn't been scoring a lot of points this year, so I was like, "Well, they're down by 3 scores. This might be a wrap."
They knew how to rattle. No pun intended. They knew how to rattle Rattler, right? They knew what would get to Spencer, in order to get him, in his own head, right? He was just not mentally there, and I think the one thing that I saw from Lincoln is that he didn't necessarily. There was no give up in him, right?
Yeah.
He was very casual on that sideline. There was, there were moments of intensity, but there was nothing where he was berating his players or, really looking defeated. And that's why I was like, I got to keep watching because something's going to happen. So when the one thing that alerted me was when Lincoln did that trick play in the first quarter, and I was like, oh my God, if he's already doing trick plays, then they've lost. Right? Like, because I'm saying to myself, like, no, Link, like that's the old adage, right? And then what ends up happening is, like, you think they get that 4th and 1. It's 4th and 1. They take Rattler out and put Caleb Williams in. And I was like, oh my God, now Lincoln is doing that thing with Caleb
quarterbacks,
that Kirby did with Justin Fields and Fromm, right?
Right.
Remember Kirby would put Justin Fields on those short yard packages and like get him in for like 1 or 2 plays just to keep him happy. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, Lincoln's doing that with Caleb. But when Caleb got the first down, I was like, okay, cool. Then Caleb gets another first down, and I was like, wait, I think you gotta keep Caleb in. Like, so I will say, fast forwarding, I actually was headed to one of the Florida State watch parties here in Atlanta, and I was listening into the game. And when they told me that Caleb Williams brought them back to within one score, I
Yeah.
hurried into the bar because I was like, I got to see this.
Hmm.
I gotta see this. And Caleb Williams came in there, and I think he had over 500 yards of offense. I think he, scored like on four or five straight possessions,
Possessions.
and
Yeah.
it was bananas. Like you will never see anything else like that this year, in my opinion. You won't
Yeah.
see something like that. That was just, I mean, totally it was exciting to see. It further, enriches me from a college football perspective. Like it solidifies my opinion that college football is one of the best sports
Oh yeah.
outside of going to the finals for some of these others like basketball finals and Super Bowl and things like that. Give me college football any day of the week. I would love to see things like that. Continuously throughout the year, right? Not just during football season. But what were your thoughts on the game?
Bro, it's man, it's crazy because when you get into these rivalry games, you always want to have something in your back pocket
Hmm.
just in case you need something to get that extra boost.
Right?
And I maybe he was lucky, maybe he was prepared for it, but I felt like Lincoln Riley was kind of holding that trump card. Like, you know what? I'm not gonna break this out early. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until I get into a game where I feel like it might go either way, and I'm gonna bring Caleb Williams out. And
Yeah.
I kind of think that's what he did, to be honest with you. And I think that it was a good moment for Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley.
National TV. Think about
Yeah,
that.
it was a good
You
moment
didn't
for
even
him. I mean,
start that game. You came and brought back your whole team.
yeah, and I thought I mean Lincoln Riley's a good offensive coach, man. So, I mean he knows what he's doing. I always say if a kid's not playing, there's a reason why he's not playing. Most of these offensive guys, especially Dan Mullen, Lincoln Riley is one of them. They know what they're doing,
Yeah.
So I always give them the benefit of the doubt. So it was a good moment though. I was surprised they won. They won, and Oklahoma still reigns supreme in the Big 12 for this final
But it
year.
also made me think, like, what was Lincoln seeing in practice that made him say, yes, Spencer over Caleb? Like, and what I'm thinking is, in my opinion, again, I have no intel on this. I'm thinking about, NIL deals. I'm thinking about, this is what Rattler's second or third year in the
Third year of the
program,
program, yeah,
right? So there should be some growth here, right?
right.
Um, I'm trying to think as Lincoln Riley, why am I starting Spencer over Caleb, especially when you've seen spring, summer, and fall camp, right?
But think
And I
about it
think,
though, Nikki. Think about it. We watched Calzona from Texas A&M. He plays like complete shit for 3 weeks straight, 4 weeks straight.
yeah,
Sometimes it just takes time. Like I said, we don't have any super quarterbacks.
we don't.
We don't have any Trevor Lawrences, no Justin Fields,
We don't have
no,
that
no
generational guy, but
yeah,
Caleb Williams can be that generational
yeah.
QB.
I
I
mean,
think he,
I just think it takes time. I think what are we almost a month and a half now in the season? So he's been
yeah.
on campus for what?
Caleb was an early enrollee. He's been there since like December, right?
So that's what
December,
almost
January.
close to 6 months. Well, he's almost close to a year now. I mean,
Yeah,
that's really not a long time. You know what I'm saying?
that's not.
That's not a long time. So it just takes time, and I think that he had been showing more in practice the last 2 weeks, and he gave Lincoln confidence to say, okay, I can go with him. Because I mean, it was times Lincoln pulled uh, Justin Hurts, Jalen
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts to
Yep.
put Spencer Rattler in at times. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't do it a lot, but I mean, it was moments that he did do that. So sometimes, if you know a guy can run 5 or 10 plays correctly, and you need 5 or 10 plays in that moment, maybe you put that guy in there. You tell him run those 5 plays that he know, and see what you can do.
Yeah, because
Um,
we're at the point now where Spencer Rattler has seen his last down at Oklahoma. Like
you think
he's played
so?
his
You
last.
think he's
So
done?
this is what I think. Again, I have no intel. This is just me coming off the top of the dome. I think at this point, if Oklahoma wants to continue to be a title contender, you got to go with Caleb. Okay. because you can't have a dual quarterback system, because if you're playing two quarterbacks, you have none, right?
Ask Norvell. He knows.
Yep, we that hits home for us. Um, the other piece is, right, everybody has seen what Caleb can do. Spencer's not going to be able to get out of his own head, right? I think he's going to have to stay because he doesn't want to hurt his draft stock. Spencer has to stay.
Mm-hmm.
If he transfers out, he'll probably transfer to a Pac-12 team.
Yeah,
I think he'll go Pac-12. I even think that he may stay in the Big 12, but I think Spencer will most likely transfer out, because I think he's hurt his draft stock, which was already overstated.
right.
And he has to be a good team player right now, right? He can't be a
Mm-hmm.
selfish guy. He has to be a good team player in order to even have hopes at the next level, because your coach right now can sink or swim, whether you go to the next level or not, in my opinion.
Right,
But I
right.
think he transfers out. I think he started his last game for Oklahoma, right? He
Okay.
may get some pity passes here and there, but I don't know, man.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I
That's my
mean,
hot take. That's
that's
my
your
hot
hot
take.
take. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. I think it's a reason. Well, you never know. Caleb might be ready now. He just might be ready. I mean, that might be all to that, and that might be a done deal. And I hate it for Spencer, but at the same time, it's a high pressure. High pressure. Coaches are trying to win national championships.
Yeah.
You got to have a quarterback. So if you think Caleb give you the best chance to win a national championship, you
You
start
gotta
paying
go
him
with
right
it.
now, and you go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? You do what Dabo did. You don't keep playing Kelly Bryant. You put Trevor Lawrence in and you call it a day. You know what I'm
Look, you
saying?
got to you get paid to make those tough decisions,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
get paid to make those tough decisions, and my heart goes out to Sark, because I don't know what his second half of strategy was in that game, because literally you were running the ball, running the ball. Bijan Robinson literally is a Heisman candidate based off that first half alone, right?
yeah.
I think Bijan Robinson got maybe like 3-4 carries in the second half, and I don't know why
Man,
Sark
I
went away
think
from the run.
I
I
think
I, I don't.
coaches. I think a lot of times what happened to these coaches, and it's kind of funny because I watched it with Jacksonville over the weekend. I think James Robinson had 140 something yards in the first half of an NFL game, and he touched the ball 6 times the second half. And I really think sometimes a defense would give looks that says you need to throw the football on these looks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of time offensive coordinators and quarterbacks buying into it. They start doing it. Oh, this look says throw, so we throw the football.
Right. So we're gonna throw.
And
Right.
they get out of sorts with it instead of just saying no, no, no. We need to keep running the football. And I think that kind of I see teams do that to themselves a lot. And it's why Nick Saban has 150 coaches because so he can have 55 of them saying it's time to run the football.
Yep.
Don't forget
Yep.
to run the football. So. And we're gonna see though, man. I'm excited. The rest of the college football season has been so good, man. It's been so good.
It has been amazing,
Yeah,
right? Like it's been an absolute, even with our team not performing as well, right?
yeah, yeah,
Even though that's the case, it has been an absolutely, amazing season. Like, I have enjoyed even watching. I've been watching Pac-12, so I've been watching a lot of Arizona State. I love what Herm is doing out there. Been watching, of course, OU.
yeah.
Um, excuse me, making my way through, of course, the Florida State games, and going down to Tallahassee and whatnot. And in spite of all these things happening, like, it's still been a great, great, entertaining season. But speaking of entertainment.
Mm.
I guess this week has been kind of entertaining while we're on the football shtick here. We've had some coaches do some interesting things, right? You brought up
Yeah,
your Jags, and your head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Urban Meyer, has had some recent um recent developments in social media, and his homeboy, his partner in crime, his road dog, John Gruden, is
Johnny Gruden.
definitely in the same boat. Like, they have been trading off in these headlines with their salaciousness, right?
Yeah, yeah,
um yeah, I think the overall, understanding of what's going on. I think everybody's projecting, but it's hard not to project when you see what's going on and what's happening.
Yeah.
But starting with your favorite head coach, what's going on with Urban Meyer? That picture or that video that was out there of him at a bar. Looks like he was wearing his OSU attire.
Yeah, he's hanging out. He's hanging out.
Hanging out with a group of friends. Got a little touchy feely. Hands was getting into different places and parts on this young lady, and they took a couple of pictures. Urban looked like he had a couple of shots, couple of good beers.
Yeah,
Mixing from dark and clear.
yeah, having a good time. Having a good time. He's two fisted.
What was going on with Urban? What happened in this whole
Man,
situation? Because we were all just chilling, and then all of a sudden, a video pops online of Urban Meyer.
man. So I was of the opinion that it didn't matter, right, as much because I was just like, okay, it's a coach with billions of dollars, probably cheating on his wife.
That's common. That's
right,
norm,
right.
right?
Like I'm one of these people that I've given up this like moral high ground of God family football thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
past all of that. I know enough. I've heard enough that I'm good on believing all that type of stuff. The Disney, remember the Titans, like football don't
The
solve
fairy
racism.
tale.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
football don't
fairy
solve
tale.
racism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Which we get into
Winning
that later.
games is gonna bring us all together.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. But I was like, I don't really care. I don't really care about Urban Meyer getting a lap dance in the club, whatever. But then I thought it was like over the weekend. Like, so I thought it, because they played that Thursday. So I thought
Yeah.
it happened that Saturday. Like, I was thinking he must have came back to Jacksonville, went back to, Ohio or whatever, and was hanging out with some family. Because, it's practically a bye week. You play Thursday, you don't play again until the following week. So you got time.
Right. So you
So I'm
got
like,
time.
you got to just, you out there cheating. You doing your thing. You trying to cheat in peace. You know what I'm saying? It's co-ed, younger girl, half his age.
In peace.
Yeah, he's cheating in peace. And then, the whole thing broke out. It was like, nah, man, he never even went back with the team. I was like, ugh, that's a bad look. Okay.
So wait. So for clarity, so Urban Meyer, they played on a Thursday.
They played in Cincinnati, which is Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
So Urban decided, well, we already lost. It ain't like I can change anything. I might well just hang the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So
he's got a couple of off days.
Got a couple of off days. Like any real G.
I'm a little parched. I can go for a drink.
Yeah, like any G. You know what I'm saying? I got a couple of days off here. I got some money to spend. You know what I'm saying? Let me go hang out. So he went out, hung out, got a couple pictures, salacious pictures. But this is the thing that let me know that Urban Meyer, first of all, he's a lightning rod. Urban Meyer's a lightning rod. So anything he does is a big damn deal to people. And
Right.
I realized the way he handled it, that he thinks he's a big damn deal too, because Sean Payton was cheating on his wife and never talked about it. It was just like,
Never.
yo, Sean Payton, you cheat on your wife? Sean Payton like, huh? I don't know what y'all talking about. Bill Belichick cheated on his wife and practically is dating like a 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying? People may not know this, but this is what's going on. And
But
they
nobody
don't talk.
cares.
They don't talk about
Nobody
it.
cares.
They never talk about it. But then Urban decided to make a story by apologizing. Right? I'm like, nah, you don't supposed to apologize because now people got more questions. So
Right. You don't just apologize and we sweep this under the rug.
Yeah, this ain't college football, dude. Like, you don't talk about the evil shit that you do in the NFL. You just let it go, right?
Right.
So he apologized, and they were like, "Well, Urban, how did you even get in that situation?" Oh, I never flew back with the team. I just kind of hung out, and everybody like, "Yo, you
That's one
kind
of
of
those situations where you're being too honest.
yeah."
Right?
And that's been his biggest problem in the NFL, Nikki. That has been his biggest problem. He gives way too much information.
Yeah.
Like way too much information. He talks way too much on the podium, and I've been noticing. So, we got the same thing that's going on. This is how you know the fans and the media is on this guy, want this guy to quit or whatever, or get fired. It's the same thing with Willie Taggart, right? It's like, we want you to be more hands-on. So, but then he's more hands-on. Everybody's complaining, well, he's so hands-on, we can't get our job done. Well, then he takes his hands off. Well, now he's not doing anything. And all this stuff is culminating with like weeks of each other, 3-4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So people is mad at him this week because they were like, you should have let Trevor Lawrence sneak the football. And he was like, well, Trevor Lawrence is not comfortable with that. And Trevor's like, no, but I am comfortable with that. Well,
Trevor's like,
Trevor
I'm
don't.
good though.
Right,
Yeah.
but Trevor, you're a player. You're good with anything anybody say you're good with. But if I'm a head coach or offensive coordinator and I watch you sneak the football in practice, I'm like, like you probably could break your back because you don't kind of know what you're doing, right? Because like everybody can't sneak the football. I was listening to Peyton Manning explain this on that little Manning cast thing. He was explaining how good Tom Brady is at this and how hard it is to actually sneak the football. He was saying like it need to be something that the center, the guards, that all four of you guys understand when you're going to do it, what situations to do it in. But now people is on him about this. I'm like, Trevor's just getting used to snapping the football from under center. But now everybody's mad about this. And I'm like, really, that's really nothing to be mad about. But I get it. Y'all still mad about the shit in Cincinnati.
Y'all still upset about something else. You're taking it out on this one thing, right?
Yeah. So it's been a complete mess. And, and I was talking to one of my guys that covered the Jaguars, and we was talking about it. I said, well, what is going on with Urban Meyer? Because nothing that's going on makes sense to me. Because at Ohio State, he was this, not hard nosed, but he was a micromanager that was in everything, was doing everything. Well, not doing everything, but he was just in everybody's business. Because Urban is not some X and O tactician. He's a guy that
he's not that technician. He's not that person, right?
Right, but he's a guy that likes to oversee the offense and know what's going on in the offense. I want to attack this. Show me how you're gonna. He's one of those type of guys. Well, from what I've heard, the NFL has been completely overwhelming him. The coordinators tell him that he don't know what the fuck he's talking about, don't know what he's doing, and when he does try to do shit, they tell him it's wrong.
We see that and we hear that.
So if you notice, the first game was all Urban Meyer, right? And they looked like complete shit. Couldn't line up, 35 penalties. So since then, he's backed up, gave it to the coordinators. Okay, I take my hands off of it. Y'all got it. So if you listen to him in the press conference, he was like, oh, that's a decision the offensive coordinator made, and I'll get with him and see why he wanted to do that. And people keep saying, why don't you know? Because they told him to leave him the fuck alone. So now he's saying, I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm just here to put my hands on my knees and call timeouts when they tell me to.
That's it. He's the puppet.
Right. And I think that it's been crazy because I thought the 2 years that he was off of football, I thought that he was studying the NFL because he wanted to be an NFL coach, because he was showing up in practices. Like he was showing up in the Ravens practice, he was showing up in New England practices. I thought he was learning. So you telling me that this guy has no clue what he's doing and nobody trusts him, and then he got rid of the scouting department, and it's just been one big thing where he don't understand you have to actually scout players. You just can't watch film and think, okay, get this guy. No, you got to scout guy because you got to know who you want to pick up in free agency down the line. Like it might be a guy that you say, yeah, like you don't know.
You got to know right now who you're lining up against, number one, and then number two, can this guy eventually be on my team? Is this somebody that I would want to look at in the future, so on and so forth, right? The main thing is getting that W. The secondary thing is all the admin. You're wearing so many hats as a head coach.
Yeah, and he's completely botched all of that stuff. So
do you think the job is too big for him?
It's hard to explain. I think for what Shad Khan brought him in there to do, is too big for him. Had he been ushered along with somebody that's a really good GM, that had lots of connections that he can call and say, hey, let me get you this type of coach, this type of guy, these type of scouting guys, they should have hired somebody with him that he trusted that could help him build that behind the scenes infrastructure that he needs to be a quality NFL coach. He don't have that in Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville.
So it's kind of like, okay, so I work in industry from sports and entertainment, travel and entertainment, things like that, right? And a lot of times when you become a franchisee, right? If you were to buy a McDonald's, you buy a certain type of franchise business. A lot of times, in order to even buy or even get apply for the franchisee license, you have to either, number one, possess 5 years of restaurant or management experience, or someone in your org, your partner, has to have at least 5 years of restaurant experience. And the reason for that is because they don't want this business to fail. So you need somebody who has that experience of seeing the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, can tell you about front of the house, back of the house, basically to manage the situation, right? From number one, a financial perspective, number two, from an organizational perspective, and then
Mhm.
of course being able to have it for the long term. And that's kind of what you're describing, that the same model that they should have done with Urban Meyer, right? They should have
Yeah,
had someone with him who had the experience, or pair him with, like you said, with that GM, that person who can lead and guide to be the Batman or the Robin to his Batman, right?
yeah. I think he needed somebody like a coach, like somebody that had like a Van Joseph that had been a head coach somewhere to be his defensive
Mm-hmm,
coordinator.
mm-hmm.
He needed somebody that had been a head coach in the NFL before to
Yeah.
be on his staff, to be like an OC or a DC. And right
Mm-hmm.
now he got a DC that's never been a DC before. He got an OC that's been pretty good. He isn't bad, but he's had bad moments, right? Bevel's had some
Right.
bad moments with Seattle. You know what I'm saying? They don't trust him. He don't trust them. It's not working, and then he did behind the scenes. They had a terrible draft, which I told somebody the ETN pick, I don't hate that pick. I thought that was a good draft pick because I think if you
Mm-hmm.
pair him with James Robinson, they give you two really good backs with Trevor. But then ETN got hurt, and now you have no depth behind. So it's like no speed
Correct.
on the team, no depth. Is the defense, you got rid of so many great defensive players that you don't replace those guys like that. You don't replace Jalen Ramsey. Like it's
Mm-mm.
not a lot of them.
Mm-mm.
They only come around every 5 or 6, maybe 10 years. You don't get a lot of Jalen Ramseys. That's why when you get them, when they want to get paid, you pay them, and you shut the
You
fuck up
pay
about
the player. You
it.
pay them. You pay them. I
you
kind
know?
of felt like he was in over his head when he started mentioning Bama. No, like there was
Yeah.
no reason for him to bring up Alabama, right? Like
Well, I think
Alabama's
what
a collegiate team, right?
yeah, I think what he
I
was
think
realizing was that it's not just Bill Belichick that's a good coach. You know what
yes,
I'm
everybody.
saying? yeah,
Everybody, even
yeah,
the sorriest NFL team.
yeah. You're coaching on the margins every game, not just 4 games out of the year. Like I think when he's at Ohio State, you got 3 games that you
You
coach on the
you
margins.
got Ohio State. What you got? You got Michigan,
Michigan, the
Penn
college,
State,
yeah, and college
and
football
what they got.
playoffs.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
you basically write your own ticket,
yeah.
right? This
But
is
here,
NFL big time, big boy football. Nobody, I have never in my life, and I'll be honest and say I could have missed it, could have overlooked it, but I
mhm.
have never in my life heard a head coach refer to a collegiate team as in being prepared to play another game.
yeah,
You're comparing grown men grown men with
yeah,
anywhere from 5 to 6 years of experience
yeah,
to a collegiate team.
yeah,
And that's why I was kind of like, are we sure are we
yeah.
sure they made the like,
He's over his head.
and
He's
then you
over his
have
head.
someone like an Eric Bieniemy, right?
Well, we
In
talked
Kansas
about this.
City. We talked about this,
yeah,
right? Eric Bieniemy, who has the resume, right? You don't give him the opportunity. And again, Airbnb may not have wanted to interview with Jacksonville, or he may not have. I don't have the details there, right? So I'm not
right.
going to say he wanted a job or he didn't want the job, but it makes you think, you know, there are qualified guys in the NFL who have not yet been a head coach who are their card is not getting picked to go to the next level, and
Yeah,
it's frustrating because it's that good old boys network,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
it, a head coach can get fired and now they're the defensive coordinator of another team,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
A head coach gets fired and now they are the special teams, coach on another team. Like the amount of recycling that's done in the NFL is totally mind-boggling to me.
yeah.
But
It's it's
you
it's
know,
it's crazy. It's crazy. But he's in over his head, and um, I was kind of mad because I was like, if we can find John Gruden emails, I know Urban got some too.
but but
So
while you have a point, right? I'll say this to cap off the Urban Meyer piece, right? I try not to get into other people's marriages, right? I have my
yeah,
own situations I need to deal with, right?
right.
So ultimately, I feel like Urban kind of orchestrated this whole thing,
Okay, you think
and
he's trying to?
my conspiracy theory I have on the tinfoil hat in my
Mhm.
mind, Urban Meyer conspired this whole thing. It got out. I think he was trying to find another way out of Jacksonville, and this didn't necessarily get it done. And I think he finishes the season, but I don't think we get a year two of the Urban Meyer
I
coaching.
think I think he doesn't. I don't think he comes back next year. I think he's done. I just it's tough though because I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. I don't think he comes back next year, but I do think it's a possibility that he does. But I don't think he comes back next year. I think whatever it is over. Because
Yeah.
I think he realized that. I think that he thought college football was really hard, and I think that he thought that an NFL head coach just kind of manages players and manages coaches, and I don't think he understood the detail in which an NFL coach in the 24-hour grind of their job. I don't think he appreciated that grind as
Yeah.
much, and that kind of gives you insight to just how competitive the NFL is. Because it was funny because we were talking on Twitter today, and people was telling me that coaches that's been to the playoffs and won the Super Bowl or made Super Bowl appearances are overrated. I'm like, yeah, that is
It's win.
it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to win the Super Bowl. It's kind of hard to go to the Super Bowl.
It's hard to get there.
It's really
It's
hard
hard to win it. And it's even harder to repeat.
Yeah, it's really hard to go to the playoffs. Perennially just go to the playoffs every year. That's pretty damn tough.
We have this conversation around like that Super Bowl window is so tight.
It is. It's wide open, then it's shut.
You can win your entire division. You can get a first round bye and lose. That next game you play, you lose.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you have to get lucky with injuries. You got to get lucky with injuries. You got to have
everybody healthy, right?
Got to have everybody healthy. You got to have a quarterback, and you got to get some breaks along the way. And it's damn hard, man, to win Super Bowls, man.
It is.
I don't think Urban appreciated the toughness of the league. How tough it is to draft, how tough it is to evaluate free agents. I thought he was going to be able to just get guys to come to Jacksonville because he's Urban Meyer.
Because he's Herb.
It don't work like that. So
you're not recruiting teenagers.
Yeah, these are grown men. They got their own diets and they got their own lives to live, and millions of dollars actually make them happy, not you with some sunshades on tell them how great Jacksonville is. So
well, like I said, I feel like Urban is out after this year. And then of course John Gruden is now out as the Raiders head coach. So that's been all the tizzy on social media, right?
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
I think the initial email that came out was around DeMar Smith, NFL Players Associate, NFL PAED, right? He's an executive director. And things came out. He called him like Michelin lips, right? Which is kind of I tell people it's like implied racism, right? So for everybody who's following along, long story short, there was a blip that came out like last week around John Gruden saying some unfavorable things around DeMar Smith, right?
Well, hold on. First of all, what's happening is the NFL has been subpoenaed
because
of sexual harassment lawsuit.
Well, let's walk into that, right? Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of people who didn't know that, and at one point I was kind of like, okay, wait a minute, why is this coming out, right?
Yeah.
So when that blip came out, there was a whole debate: was this racist? Was this inappropriate? What are people's thoughts on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of went by the wayside because people were excusing the implied racism, right? Because if I tell another Black person they have big lips, right?
Right.
And not saying that it's right. We grew up jonesing on each other. We grew up cracking on each other. That's what we did, right?
Right.
Whereas, if someone of another race, of another background says, Nikki, you got huge lips,
yeah,
like Michelin tires, or refers to me in a derogatory way, there's an implied racism there, right? It's kind of like, the whole debate around the N-word, who can say it and who can't, right?
Right.
So I don't think that really got any traction. Well, all of a sudden, there's this release. It's either, I think it was with the New York Times. I think the New York Times actually said, hey, we got more stuff that John Gruden said. We have some actual things that have been leaked from John Gruden's emails. And to what Sam was alluding to earlier was that there's a current investigation with the Washington football team around sexual harassment allegations and things of that nature from the organization, where people have come forward saying that they didn't feel comfortable, that they were sexually harassed continuously, cheerleaders, people within the organization in the front office. so on and so forth, are coming forth. And because of the investigation, there are things that are available
Yeah.
that are coming out and being leaked or being made available to the public, right?
Right.
And one of those things are John Gruden's numerous emails dating back to 2010 all the way up until maybe 2 years ago, like to
Mhm.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2010 to
It's like when
2018.
he was in the Monday Night Football booth, right? Like,
Yes, with
so he
Mike
wasn't even
Tirico, right?
coaching when he said all this stuff.
Correct. Correct. He was not even in a coaching capacity. But some of the things that he was saying in this email were really homophobic. He was saying, certain things about Michael Sam should not have been drafted, and there's
Mhm.
pressure from the NFL to do this. He dropped the F bomb on Roger Goodell, called him a pussy. Um, he said Jeff Fisher shouldn't have been fired, and there's all this pressure on the NFL for PC
Yeah.
being politically correct. He basically said that there shouldn't be any women officials, any female officials. They're just pushing an agenda, so on and so forth.
Right.
And the things that are being said in these emails are so egregious. I think it also coincides with a lot of feelings of, people are up in arms when he called DeMar Smith about his lips and called him Michelin lips. It barely was a blip on the radar. But now that he's offended all these other groups,
All the other
right, of
isms.
people, whether it's women, whether it's the LGBTQIA community, whether it's other people within organizations, people are like, oh, the alphabet people are out and they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that. And I'm like, I think we're missing the point here, right? Like,
Right.
we're not surprised that John Gruden is saying these things or that he has racist implications. Or I don't think any Black person is surprised at anything that John Gruden said. I have
Right.
not encountered anybody. Not saying that there aren't people out there who exist, but I'm surprised. I'm not surprised at him saying it. I'm surprised at the method, the level of comfort, the length that it's been going. Like, people
Yeah.
have known about this, right?
Mhm.
I tell people that I think the biggest thing about this story is that we're so focused on John Gruden's emails that we have not even tackled anything from the Washington football team's front office. If Gruden is saying this stuff
to them, to them. He
to
said it to
them, then
them.
what
Yeah.
is being said in that organization? What is happening on a daily basis? Like, the only reason these things are coming out is because there is an investigation, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, people are trying to cancel Gruden. You can't say anything anymore. And there used to people are so soft and you can't say
But
what's on your
what's
mind. And I'm like, there's such thing as, you do have free speech. There is freedom of expression. You do have the right to say anything.
Mhm.
But because you have that right, it also bears consequences.
Well, you know what?
There's
It's
consequences. I can't just go in and say, "Hey y'all, Sam is a thief."
yeah.
Right? I can't just go and say I can say that. But if you come and run up on me and be like, "Nikki, why are you telling people I'm a thief? I'm gonna sue you." There's a consequence for me
Yeah.
saying that, right?
Yeah.
There's people are saying that, I should be able to speak my mind, I should be able to do that. And by all means, you can do that, but there are consequences and repercussions that come with that freedom of speech. It's not necessarily free.
Right. Well, the biggest problem is people act like is it's their God-given right to be assholes, and that should be okay with everybody. And I think that's my biggest problem with everybody. Like, when is being a complete asshole supposed to be acceptable? Like, let me just accept you being an asshole. You know what? Jimmy's being racist again. Let me accept him with his N-word.
Jimmy. Jimmy's a good old boy.
You know how he is. Sam, you know how Jimmy can be. He just likes to say the N-word when he gets drunk every now and then. It's like...
my favorite one is, who amongst us haven't said something racist? I dare you to go back in your email history 8 to 10 years ago and see if you said anything racist.
And it's just one of those things. It's one of those things where everybody want to be the oppressor. And that's what it
Everybody.
is. Everybody want to be the oppressor. Like everybody want to have agency to be the oppressor, and that's
Over
really what
someone
over
else.
somebody else, and
Over
that's really
someone else.
all this is
Even if it's
about.
within your, even if it's within your own demographic.
Yeah, that's
Even if it's
all it
within your
is.
own demographic,
You
right?
got you got the dark skinned women mad at the light skinned women. You got the black men, they're mad at the black women. You got the white women who's taking the black man from the white. It's like everybody want to be oppressed, and it's just like people. You don't have to be assholes.
You
Like
don't. It
you
costs you nothing to be respectful.
and
It's literally it's $0 to be
but
respectful.
the deeper discussion about all this stuff when you're talking about John Gruden, how he talked and everything, and how the Washington football team front office was taking all this stuff is, think about how many young adults didn't get opportunities, right? Whether that opportunity had been being an assistant coach, being an assistant of an assistant coach, getting an internship because they might be
Hmm.
gay, or because they might be black,
The
or they might be
impact.
black with.
The impact.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, think about that. Think about how many kids that was fringe on the borderline of making an NFL team, but they coach found out they was gay and was like, I
He
don't want
said,
this gay
nope,
guy in
I
my
don't want them.
organization, not on my watch. Like, think about that. Think about how many young adults, because these people have a lot of power over a lot of young adults in their
Yeah.
careers
Their futures.
and their futures. And this is the way they talk. And this ain't just the NFL. Like,
No,
make no
no, no.
mistake
This is
about it.
professional.
This is
Like
professionals.
I was like, everybody is clenching their butt cheeks tonight. Because I was like, because I'm like, if this is coming out, there's gonna be more, right? There's gonna be more. And
Well, you know the
I
funny part though, Nikki. Everybody that got like a shitty, they root for a shitty professional team was like, we need emails out, right? Like I'm a Jaguar fan, I need some emails to come out. I need emails out.
everybody. The Dabo Sweeney tweets were funny. There was like, I bet Dabo Sweeney tweets read like the script of Roots. Like I was like, oh my God. But like the macro point here, I tell everybody too is, it's one thing if you are personally, having these conversations and you're vocalizing this, and people can course correct it, right?
Yeah,
But you're putting this in work email,
and that's
right?
and
You're
that lets you
using
know the culture. That lets you know the
that
culture.
lets you know you're not
It,
using a Gmail, you're not
yeah,
using, your iCloud, you're not using any of that. You literally went on company email, called your boss's bosses or your former boss's boss,
yeah,
right? An F bomb. You made racial and sexist comments about other people, and this is literally a paper trail, right?
yeah.
And I think people have to understand that this is not cancel culture, right? Like I can't go to work and just
Mhm.
start lobbing emails and saying inappropriate things. Like I've been in corporate America now since 2003,
Right,
right?
right,
And I tell you, even to this day, I have to reread emails
right.
before I send them. I'm literally rereading, like, okay, what's the tone of this? How could this be
So you trying to say
received?
that you can't send an email to your homegirl in the other cubicle talking about how you got that thing popping the other night ago? Like that might be
I, I,
inappropriate. It
I've been
might be
scared to
wrong.
send things in Slack and instant messaging at work, like on
Right.
Teams.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's so funny. I will hit people up on the side. I will literally call their cell phones. I will text them. I'll send voice notes and be like, "Hey, call me,"
Yeah.
or "Let's talk after this," or whatever the case may be. Right? Even if I feel a certain type of way, that's why I tell people, be careful. Even the people that I mentor, right? I'm like, be careful what you put in writing, even if it's text messages. Like there was a point in time where, when people got divorces, it was basically he say, she say. Now in divorce court, they're using your social media, they're using text
Yeah.
threads, they're using emails, they're using anything now in court in order to, prosecute or in order to bring charges.
Right.
So I'm like, the level of comfort John Gruden had to
It's
do
you
this,
know it's pervasive. You know it's pervasive.
you know it.
It's
And the
pervasive.
fact that when the first emails came out about about Smith and his Michelin lips,
Mhm.
that wasn't enough to move the needle. In my mind, Mark Davis had to know that this was coming out. They knew this when they hired Gruden, that this was out there. Like, you can't tell me they don't do all these research on the players to ask players if their moms are prostitutes or drug addicts, that
Yeah.
they don't do the same research on their coaches to understand what they've said and and email and text and press and anything like that. So
Right.
they hired Gruden knowing these things. It feels like this was like a second or third nudge where they was like, hey, I don't want to do this, but you tied my hands. I have no choice. Like,
Yeah.
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just sent a message, I want to say maybe an hour or so ago, saying that they're going to remove him from the Ring of Honor. Like,
Yeah.
this is so expansive now that
But and he
Skechers
did.
has dropped him as a sponsor. I forgot there's another one that
But
dropped him as a
but
sponsor.
what's funny
Like,
is it's always funny once the time bomb goes off and then people feel free to just talk because Keyshawn Johnson went on like a Jada Kiss like Keyshawn went on like a Jada Kiss like
run. He went on
run.
a run.
He was like, I don't care who shot you, they ain't kill you. Like
That's it.
he went
That's
off
it.
he went off on ESPN today. And I was just like, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of that. But what was more disappointing was like, and I realized this, like, as black people, all this shucking and jiving, you know,
Making excuses. Like, and
and then putting
I
God in
love
it, and then
Coach
putting
Tony
God
Dungy.
in it. Like, I'm done with Dungy. I'm sorry, Nikki. I'm
I
done.
love
I'm
Coach
done.
Tony
I'm
Dungy.
done with Dungy. I
This
knew
one
Tarico
year
didn't
now.
want to be black, but Dungy,
Oh
you
yeah,
act like you
and
at least,
then Mike Tirico said he Italian, didn't he? He
yeah,
said
like Tarico been done trying to be black, but
yeah, Mike
Dungy, shame
Tirico.
on
We've
you.
been off of him. I want to know why Tony Dungy feels like he can accept an apology on behalf of black people in reference to this for all the NFL coaches and players. Like, why do
Mhm.
you feel that you can accept an apology on behalf of other people? Like, who bestowed that upon you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're the great Tony Dungy.
everybody respects Coach Dungy. Like, and I get it. There's a respect value there. There's a lot of relationships there that go back years and decades even, right? I get that. I understand it. But I'm like, Coach Dungy, I don't even think you've taken the time to speak. This happened so fast. I
Yeah,
don't even think you've had time to speak to anybody to digest it in order to speak on this and accept an apology. Like, you accept an apology that Gruden hadn't even given yet. Right?
the thing about it was Gruden got it and said, I'm going to address this one time. Think about the balls on Gruden to say that. I'm only going to address this one time. I'm not going to talk about this again. Okay? I said what I said. I apologize to people I need to apologize to. I'm done with it. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, like if
oh.
I want to move on to something, I do that too. That's what I do with my kid, right? But this is a serious issue. This is a serious issue. You can't just like brush over this. Like, I am excited to see what else comes out this week. Like, you can't just leave. Like, this Gruden thing is literally the small snowball that's
Well,
going to
I
be.
think that's why they paid Colin what they paid Colin to go away because I thought it was some stuff in there that they didn't want out. And but this sexual harassment thing they got out, I think it's gonna expose some people, man,
It
because
is. It
it's
is.
gonna
That's why
expose some
they paid.
people.
That's how I know Cap got paid. Like, people were saying, "Oh, Cap got $10 million, or he got this, that," and I was like, "No, Cap got paid."
He had to
And I
get
was
paid a
like,
lot of money. It's no
I'm like,
way.
he got paid more than 10 million because you can't tell. I said Cap had probably the same amount of emails and texts and everything. I said
You
that
know
there's
them,
no way that they were going to be able to skirt around this. And like I say, get your money, black man.
but
Um,
they and it's crazy because it's this ideal that people like, man, I need to have the freedom to be a complete asshole and a bigot and whatever else people feel like they have to be this. Like, man, you don't have to be that stuff, man. Like, and that's what I always come back to. And I tell people this all the time. They be talking about Lil Nas X and all this other stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm not a fan of Lil Nas X, but you know what? I don't subscribe to his music, man. I don't watch his stuff on TV, and I don't follow him
right.
on social media to be mad at him. I get what he's doing. I get it. Like,
And it's working.
and it's working because y'all get so upset about something that is not even for you. If it's not for you, why are you getting mad about it? And it's all these people get upset and like, oh, that's where it's gonna start at. That's where they starting at. See, and then it's gonna end. No, it's not, dude. You don't even make enough money to be canceled. Okay?
You don't.
So
You don't. They're pushing
so
the agenda. You can't say nothing about them alphabet people. And I was like, is that the part we're going to focus on? And I said, and I wanted so bad to talk about the Dave Chappelle special, but I think we need to take that offline because I think we need to definitely discuss that next week. Because I want to give it a third watch. I watched it when it came out. I gave it a second watch, and I kind of formed, some different opinions. But I want to be sound and just when we have this conversation.
Yeah, we can
But
definitely discuss Dave next week. I mean, I
I
don't
feel
mind it.
like people are tying these different things together because anybody can find something to fit their narrative if they want to,
Right,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
But I want to be well thought out, prepared, and respectful in my comments. And I was going to bring that into the whole cancel culture, John Gruden thing, but I'm not. My EQ isn't good to have that conversation. I think it's best reserved for us to, give it another watch and us come back and digest it and kind of, give some feedback and tie these two things together next week. But I just feel like the first thing that comes out is cancel culture, and then they come for the alphabet community, and I'm like,
Well,
we,
it's a part of society that think being masculine means to be an asshole, and I think those two things need to be untied together, right? Like we
absolutely.
need to untie those things together, and I think however people feel about something, if you're not in that person's shoe, you might need to examine why that person feels that way. That's what I would say. I'll put it that way.
Nobody, no, it doesn't matter to people until it hits home,
Right.
right? You don't care. You have this strong formed opinion on something, and then once it hits your house, now it shifts when you could have had this shift prior to.
Right.
But we'll save that for next week. Before we get out of here, I wanted to jump into our what's next segment, right? One of the cool things that we're seeing trending on Twitter now is about red flags. So, Sam, red flags or red hearts, what are we seeing? What are some of the red flags for you? If you encounter them, hey, this is a red flag. So what's next? What's your next action? What's that thing that turned you off? And then what do you do next in order to either cut it off, cease interaction? What's your thing to kind of distinguish or extinguish? Is it extinguish that red flag?
Mm. Anytime a woman tells me what type of restaurant she needs to go to, that's a that's an immediate red flag.
Okay.
One, she may think I'm broke, which that's a problem. Two, she's dealt with a lot of broke people.
Right. Right.
so, so she says stuff like I know my worth. That might be you might wanna, because if you gotta tell somebody you know your worth, you might not know your worth. So that's one. Because I live in Jacksonville, any girl that say I think I'm gonna move to Atlanta, definitely need to stop talking to her.
Oh my God. That is a huge red flag. I'm moving to Atlanta. That was one of mine. That was mine.
I need to get out of this town because this town is holding me back. That's a red flag.
I am crying.
Leave that person to their devices, okay? Anybody that anytime you get ready to have sex with somebody and she say something like, I don't know if I want to do this because I really love hard, you might not want to do that. You might want to just say, I ain't gonna do this because this might be a problem later on. I think any woman that's watched Eat, Pray, Love and talk about it all the time, that might be another red flag.
Oh, you are taking me down right now.
She can watch Eat, Pray, Love, but she can't talk about it all the damn time. If she talk about it all the time, that's a problem. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right. That's I think that's all I got.
That is a top tier list. I love it. I love it. Okay. A red flag for me.
Hold on.
We agree
Hold on.
on.
I'm sorry. I got one other part. If the girl live in Atlanta and she says she need to move to Houston, that might be a red flag. I don't know.
Okay,
though,
now you hit me. That rock, that bullet hit me.
Oh,
that bullet hit me.
sorry about that.
Oh, because I have said that. Now, would I do it? Not now. I would tell you at this point, no. But that was me. That was me. I moved to Atlanta. I loved it, and I went to Houston. I visited. I went to Houston when I was younger, like as a kid.
Yeah.
Then I went in undergrad, and then I went as an adult when I lived here in Atlanta. And I was like, yo,
But you
I'm
know,
moving to Atlanta adjacent, which is Houston.
but I understand why people from Atlanta want to move because everybody's moving to Atlanta. So now y'all all just want to get out now. Y'all just
We
done.
gotta move.
Yeah,
We,
y'all
we gotta
done.
move, right?
Y'all
Like
y'all y'all full.
we are full. Now I will tell you, I'm so thankful for the people who moved here because we turned Georgia blue. I will always be grateful for that. What I am not grateful for is traffic in the middle of a Saturday
Nikki be
with
like,
nothing going on.
Sam, I'm 15 minutes away. I'm like, all right, hit me up at 30.
Right, right. I'm on the way home so we can record, and like an hour later, like, okay, I'm ready. But
Shit
no,
never
that is
fails.
a stellar list. Okay, so a red flag for me is any man that lives with a woman,
Mm,
whether that woman is your ex-wife, your mom, your sister, anybody. If a man lives with a woman, my antennas are up because it's kind of like, okay, um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. You
okay.
you live with a woman.
Okay.
You live with a woman. Another red flag for me is a man that has all these big bras. Bruh, big bruh, big bruh. Everybody big bruh. Every time you run into somebody, he big bruh. Every time he run into somebody, he big bruh.
You can say
How
that for
many
women. You
brothers
can
you
say that for women too, though. Like everybody ain't bruh.
well, when a man does it, that's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
That's a compliment. That's kind of like saying I'm associated with you. I want to be like you. I'm trying to get like you, right?
Right. Right.
When a woman says that's my brother, that's a whole different dynamic.
We don't know what's going on.
Right, right, right. Another red flag for me is no pictures of your family. If I
Oh.
come over to where you live,
Mm-hmm.
and you have family or you have friends, and I'm not saying you got to have a whole photo album,
Right.
but people who are not connected to other people concern me, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's me, right? Because we were created for fellowship. We were created to be with other people. Like, we were
Okay.
not made to be alone, right? And there are some people who just like to be fully disconnected from, other people, so on and so forth. But that makes me think that, oh my God, if you don't have friends or you don't have family or you don't have any true connections, then I have to be your everything.
Right.
And that's a lot on me. I have to be your friend, your entertainment. I have to be, the date, the wife, I have to do all of these things, right? So when people aren't connected. And another red flag for me is men who call women females. When you
That's
identify a
funny.
woman by her gender versus like, oh, that's my girl, that's my old lady, or when men who be like, female so dumb, female so broke, female so stupid, right? Because these people, that is a red flag for me. Anytime a man refers to a woman as female, typically it's going to be in a negative sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Those are my red flags.
What
Female,
about
no connectivity, living with women, other women, and the whole big bruh.
So no gender specific on this, but anybody that's trying to figure out how bills need to be divided up, that's a red flag.
That is a red flag. That is a red flag. If we got to talk about, we got to split this bill or that bill or whatever, like,
Those are
oh
red
my
flags.
God. Like, you know, um, I, I am very big. Like I say this a lot. Like I am traditional when it comes to certain things, but I'm progressive when it comes to other things,
Mhm.
right? I feel that it should very much be a two income household. I am a strong believer in that. We all get up, we all go to work, right?
Right.
I also am a firm believer in understanding how you work with money.
Mhm.
I need to understand how you operate with money because you could be a six-figure earner, you could be a seven, eight-figure earner, right?
Right.
But if you have no money management skills, that is a huge red flag for me. If you living for today and not thinking about tomorrow,
Yeah.
like I can be YOLO. I can YOLO all day, but I also want to be able to make sure that when I'm 65, that I can YOLO from an island.
Right. Right. You can
Now all my
relax.
bills and things are taken care of. But I say all of that to say that if we got to talk about how we splitting bills and things like that, we probably not gonna work out.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another. I'm trying to think of any more red flags.
Grand rising. That's the most popular one I've seen.
No,
When somebody greets you with
any
grand rising.
woman that hate her best friends, that's a red flag.
No, real talk. Real no 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 no. Real talk. Okay?
Yeah.
Real talk. The reason why I say that is because I have best friends that I'm still friends with from kindergarten.
Right.
Like we go back in the trenches, right? And I have some friends that, over the last 2 to 3 years that we've gone extremely close. But it's very rare that you will find me talking about my close group of friends
Right.
and hating on them or hate that. Like I have this one group of friends. Shout out to Clubhouse Hoochies. That's our group chat name. It's all of us in this group. And when I tell you, like, it's all leveling up, it's all about, like, there's people in that group who literally make six figures off side hustles. There's people in that group that own 8 homes. Like I got a set of friends right now that's building a huge house in Ghana,
Right.
right? I got my girlfriend who does real estate in Central Florida literally is going to touch $1 million this year. Like, and when I tell you, like, there's no hate in any bone in our body because we just find ways to level up. We find ways to support each other, like even from stupid stuff, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, like we won't berate you in front of everybody, but in private we're gonna be like, what the fuck were you thinking? um but like women who don't have other women friends or women who hate on their best friends with other groups of people can't
Yeah.
be trusted. That's a huge red
It's a
flag.
huge
Like
red flag.
women who be like, I don't get along with other women. No, that's you, baby. That's you. That's you. Like I'll tell you that is something, like, even being here in Atlanta where everybody wants to be associated with affluence, opulence, and popularity and
Hmm.
power, perceived power, and things like that. Like you have to be so careful of who you are connected to because people will find ways to clout chase and socially climb based on association with you. They'll be all I love you in your face, showing up to your birthday dinner with an expensive gift, but really in the background, hating on you from all angles to people who they don't even know you're connected to, who get it back to you. Like that's crazy. But that one sounds a little personal, but I'm just telling you, like, that is a huge red flag. I am always leery of women who can't be friends with other women.
Hmm. Well, that is my list for today. And
Look, we
I
we
might.
done we got an hour and some change, man. We
Yeah.
covered a lot from our hot takes from college football, NFL, Gruden email gate, and Urban, out here.
Participating.
Urban out here. Sneaky Lincoln.
Trying to cheat in peace.
Out here.
I know they missed the good old days of the beepers and just cheat in peace, man. Just to
Man, I
cheat in
know they
peace.
missed that. I know they miss beepers. I know they miss Blackberries too. I know. I know they miss
These
that.
iPhones have is ruining everything.
Change the game, man. But anything else you got before we get out of here?
No, man, that is it, man. I was happy to get back on. I know we had been putting this off for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't remember
Yeah,
what
a
it's been.
lot of it is me, but that's okay. Life be lifing. But
Life
I
is
always say
lifing.
we put out good content when we supposed to. So, that's all that matters. But
That's right.
hey guys, thank y'all for tuning in for another episode of So What's Next, where we discuss things that matter today that you won't even remember tomorrow.
We are out.